Hey, beloved, it is that time. I want to say welcome to you. So glad. It's been a while, right? It's been a while, but welcome to the Man Cave. We're going to deal with some things tonight, and I just pray that you will be blessed as we go through this. But welcome to the Manly Cave. I'm excited tonight. I am. This is a tough topic, right, that we're going to be working our way through, but I'm excited about the possibilities tonight and the things that we're going to be able to learn that'll be, useful to you, right? And it is continually my goal when it comes to these topics. I don't know everything, but I know some things, and that is to make you, beloved, the smartest person in the room as it pertains to these subjects, all right? So, well, Corvette clock says it's 8 o'clock. I think it's about a minute off. I got to check the batteries on that. But nevertheless, I want to make a couple of quick announcements and then tell you the purpose of what we're doing here tonight. Simultaneously, at the time of this recording, starting this Thursday, which is February the 1st, beginning Black History Month, this same series, a little different detail, I think, but this same series will be on our Drive Time radio show, Jackie Jackson Ministries radio show. So asking you to check that out. We have been on the air now. It's been 12 wonderful years as of December 31st. It's been 12 wonderful years. So just want you to get all that you can get as it pertains to these things. I've done the research, and all you got to do is put in a little bit of time and be able to listen. Always wanting to preface, if it's necessary, tonight is definitely an adult show. Not going to say anything that is inappropriate, but this is definitely, not for the kiddies to be hearing. This is definitely going to be an adult conversation for us. One of the reasons why it's on at the time that it is, okay? So let me talk about my purpose, my ultimate goal in all of this. Some 70% of young Black men and women, when they become 18 years old, go to college, are leaving the church because they have no apologetic. Right? They get to college and someone tells them that Christianity is a white man's gospel. They don't have a defense for that. They know about Daniel in the lion's den and some of those kinds of things, but they don't have a true defense, understanding Black biblical history, understanding their connection to history. And so ultimately, my goal is truth, so that we have the opportunity to save some. So yeah, we're going to deal with the Israel-Palestine conflict, but at the same time, kind of not really behind the scenes, but at the same time, what I'm after is, you'll see why I'm saying all this. What I'm after is bringing the truth out so that everybody knows, past, present, how do we get here? How do we get to this conflict? What's really, really going on? And then, as that first illustration shows, when we know, we have to teach. Because for sure, young Black men have all kinds of distractions all the time that are going on in their lives. So let's dive on in, and that little piece, I promise you, will make sense to you. Got a conflict going on right now, war going on right now. And where did all of this come from? What's the issue that has created this? I mean, we do want harmony, and we do want love, right? We want we want there to be peace, right? But in order for there to be peace, there has to be truth. The God we serve is a prosperous God. He'll prosper anybody that seeks him, that believes him for the things that he has promised in his word for sure. But sometimes we've got to break these walls down, the misunderstandings that we have about things so that we can walk in the truth. All right. I hope the kiddies are away and not in front of you. It's a very short video I'm going to show you, and then we're going to start diving real deep. Let's watch this and we'll talk on the other side.
Of Gaza City, amidst chaos and fear, a tragic event unfolded. A grandmother holding her grandchild, waving a white flag, became a victim of the very violence she sought to escape. Hala Rashid Abdulhadi, a respected teacher and a beloved family member, walked with hope for safety, but in an instant, that hope was shattered.
So we've been having these incidents over and over again. These white flag incidents. Matter of fact, just a few days ago, there were 3 Israelis that had escaped, that were being held, had white flags and got killed. There's been several of them. I have another video that I'll be showing you on this. So now let's do this historical piece. Strap yourself in. Who are the Ashkenazi Jews? Who are they? Many people have gotten in trouble for the things that I'm about to show you, but I'm going to show you boldly. Matter of fact, I'm going to be off camera for a bit. Who are they? Where did they come from? What is their history? Is there something we can prove by science? Something we can prove by scripture? Or both? Who are they? Are they the original Jews? Well, if we look at the table of nations, in Genesis chapter 10, Noah had 3 sons. And you'll see there on the chart, the first one is Japheth or Japheth, Ham, and Shem. Shem is where we get, and I'll be reading it again, there's redundancy in this on purpose because we're making some paradigm shifts here. You're getting information that is different from what's been drilled into your head. Shem is where we get the word Semite. You have to be a descendant of Shem in order to be a Semite. You have to be a descendant of Shem in order for someone to be anti-Semitic. Now, don't worry. I'm not going to deny the Holocaust and all of the atrocities that happened to these precious people. But right now, we're looking at the genealogical line that eventually is going to lead to Jesus, who the Ashkenaz say that they are connected to. So look at the chart, and you see Japheth is there. That's the first one. Under his first son, Gomer, the name right below that is Ashkenaz. Not over in Shem's line, but under Japheth. Ashkenaz. Are you with me so far? So, and we're gonna work with this. So let me read this to you. This is actually something that was put out by Jewish people. Sometimes I don't think they realize, I don't know. Anyway, let me save that one. The name Semite comes from Shem, right? And he is one of the 3 sons of Noah. In the Greek and Latin version of the Bible, Shem becomes Sem, since neither Greek nor Latin has any of representing the initial sound of the Hebrew name. But the proof that we have here is that you have to come from Shem's line. So the first problem that we have is that the people that are in Israel, the Ashkenaz, who are occupying Jerusalem, who are occupying Israel, are not in the line of Jesus. Too soon? I don't know, but yeah. Genesis chapter 10, verses 1 through 3. Listen carefully. Let the Bible talk. If you've got a copy, you can read it for yourself. In one verse, we can handle the whole business, but I got more than one. Verse 1, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and to them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, these names will come up again. Gomer and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tabul, and Meshech, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and we can stop right there. Now those other two names will come up again, right? Rephath and Targama, Togarma will come up again. But in Genesis chapter 3, in Genesis chapter 10, verse 3, we don't have to go any further than there. And if you look at the chart again, you will see under Gomer is the name Ashkenaz. Sometimes it baffles me to a degree why something this easy to find has not been found before or made very clear. I've had people making comments on YouTube wanting to discuss or refute or whatever the things that I am saying, and we got to get past just this verse. This isn't the only one. This isn't the only thing I'm going to show you. But clearly, if we're looking at the table of nations, if we're tracing them, the Ashkenaz who occupy Jerusalem, who occupy Israel, are not descendants of Jesus, are not connected to David. I'm going to show you a verse in a moment that shows you exactly where they were. Because there's also discussions that come up about, that their blood is mixed with this and that and all that. I can show you exactly where they were. It's really, to me, I went through a whole process in order to change my mind. So I'm not suggesting that overnight, when you've been conditioned to think a particular way, that it just goes away. But it's still simplistic, even though it requires some rethinking. It's not hard to find, okay? So, yeah, it's not hard to find. Not hard to find. So let's go a little bit further. I want to show you now. This is going to be our first peek into some maps. These are ancient illustrations of ancient maps, the location of different people. And you'll see there at the top, written in green in the yellow section, Japheth, however you wish to say that. You see that there. You will also, and I'll show you on another map, you will also see some of those other names, and I might toggle back just so that you realize that there is a connection there, right? These other names, Tarshish and Tabul, Gog and Magog, those names will come up again as we continue on. Okay? Let me show you something that might be a little bit clearer and I can better define for you maybe now. Okay, so Tarshish, Great Britain. Gog, that's Russia. Okay, Tabul is, we're getting over into Turkey, the Turkish area. Magog, we're talking about the Germanic areas or Europe. And when you look at the area of Ukraine, you look at Poland, you look at Germany, you will find that that's where the Ashkenaz were by name. History. That's why when Hitler did his awful atrocities against these precious folks, that's why he was able to do that. They were already there. And you may not disagree with that there's a large contingent of them in Russia, in Ukraine, in Poland, in Germany, especially, you know, in France, in all throughout that. There's Sephardic Jews. When you look at that area, it's there's not a question, perhaps, that's where they were. And where many of them still are. The question that comes up is, when did they get there? Is this Matthew 24, AD 70? And we'll cover all of that. I don't think in this section. We'll get to it, though. We'll talk about Josephus, people that lived at that time. We'll talk about DNA from that time. We'll work through all of that to explain things with Proto-Afro-Asiatic and you know, because no one will say Afro-Asiatic, but we're going to deal with Proto first, the first people of that time, and whatever, and we'll be able to discover that these are people, these are black-skinned people living in that region at that time. We're going to let the Bible and science tell you that. But let's first answer this question. The descendants, the Ashkenaz descendants of Japheth, where did they go? If they're not connected to Shem, then where were they? Let's let the Bible talk again. Set up a standard. Jeremiah 51:27. You should read the entire chapter so you get a full picture. Set up a standard in the land. Blow the trumpet among the nations. Prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Irat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Okay. What it is, they're coming. Babylon is about to be punished for what they've done to Israel. Right? And so these are folks coming from northern territories. Now this is after the Exodus. This is, you know, around the Babylonian captivity. David is gone. David and Goliath, all those things had happened already. And the Ashkenaz are specifically being named, coming down from northern Europe to what would have been Iraq, to Babylon, to deal with those that had taken Israel into captivity. And we haven't gotten to science. That's just Bible. That's the Bible speaking to us. So we know that they don't descend from Shem. Unless we're going to argue with Scripture. If you're listening to this and you're a Christian, I hope that there it is. Now we have proof where they settled even more, although there is proof. The maps that I showed you, those illustrations, nobody's making those up. We can prove by DNA that those people were in those territories. But I'm reinforcing it by showing you in Scripture that is exactly where those people were located, where they lived. I believe, can't prove it, I believe that it was the Tower of Babel incident when they left. But I know for a fact that they were not around for the Exodus. They weren't around for that. They weren't around for what we've seen over and over and over again in movies. They weren't around for that. They were somewhere else. They were in Europe. I'm going to give you a minute. I often, if you're watching me for the first time, I'll use surprise faces and things like that to give your brain an opportunity to assimilate and accommodate the information. But this is significant. To understand that the people that, and I'm going to show you when they came to Jerusalem. We're going to talk about all of that. So you got to come back. Can't do it all in one night. There are some people that believe, and I do not, that the Ashkenaz Jews are Khazars. I don't believe that they are from Khazaria. I believe that the ruler of Khazaria, I believe that the king, the Khazar king, that he did convert to Judaism. But there is no DNA evidence that we can obtain because the Khazars are gone. There's nothing, we can't prove that. And as a historian, researcher, and scientist, I'm not going to share that with you, right? I'm a university professor. I'm not going to have if it's theory, I'll tell you it's theory. But this is a big deal. I've heard many people share this. If I don't have evidence, I'm not going to share it. So I don't believe that. However, Gershom ben Judah was a bishop who brought in many of the forms of the practices of Judaism that we see today, and he would have been around that time, as just about 999 or 1000, I think it was, that he established a lot of what we see today and call it Jewish tradition. Now, since that came out of my mouth, let me share this with you. And they always have to, when the Ashkenaz run out of evidence, they will say tradition says. I don't need tradition. I don't need tradition. I have science and I have the Bible. Harvard Medical School, we respect that, don't we? Right? We feel like, they're Stanford, Smithsonian, National Geographic, Penn State, different. You'll see some stuff from different museum researchers. And I'm talking about peer-reviewed stuff. I'm not talking about something that somebody Googled and put. I wouldn't even do that to you, right? And I wouldn't even share people with you that somebody Googled something and that's what they think. No, I want this to be solid and unrefutable so that your mind will get this information, understand it, and it's palatable enough to you that you can regurgitate it back to someone else, no matter who it is. But specifically for me, one of my goals is, as I said, we've got young black people that are walking away from the church because they don't know what I'm telling you today, because they think Christianity is by white design. And it's not. It's for everybody. All right. Ashkenaz Jews are the Jews of France, Germany, and Eastern Europe and their descendants. The adjective Ashkenazic is derived from the Hebrew word Ashkenaz, which is used to refer to Germany. Now, Ashkenaz is also in the Bible. It doesn't have to refer to just Germany. It simply refers to who these people are. Most American Jews today are Ashkenazim, descended from Jews who immigrated from Germany and Eastern Europe from the mid-1800s to early 1900s. And we'll deal with some of that. And I'm not going to deal with the Yiddish part of the language. Now, let me share something with you I may do more history later. I encourage you to watch this video, top left. 6 minutes and 58 seconds of your time. It explains how we got where we are now. It explains to you how Theodore Herzl was, that he made plans for Israel to have its own state. He was a Zionist. You will hear that come up over and over again. There is a difference between the Zionists and the Jews. Same Ashkenaz, same, let me restate that. There's a difference between Zionists who are Ashkenaz and the Ashkenazi Jews. The Zionists are not necessarily, and most of them are not, practicing Jews. This man was an atheist, but he was very instrumental, and that video helps bring that out. He was very instrumental in helping Israel become a state. And I'll deal with some more of that as we go along. But I want you to understand that some of this began, as it said, the last little piece said, it began in the 1800s. There was a deal that they tried to make with Hitler when he came into power about the Jews leaving. This is before, the serious persecutions ever started. But, if we give you their land and, you buy it at a cheap price and they move to Israel. This was going on in the 30s. But there's something that created a surge, a necessity. And here is what that is. At the end of World War II, in Germany and in Poland, the areas that were so, let me say this. There were 1 million Ashkenazi Jew refugees in that area, living in tents. They were, like you see the picture on the left, if you can see that well, it was so, in some places, it was just dirt. Where they had lived had been leveled. There was nothing there, nothing to rebuild. So, picture on the right as an example, 100,000 of them got on a boat and headed for Israel. Now, this created a couple of problems. The first issue is they said nobody was living there. That wasn't true. Okay, ready? Wait for it. The Palestinians were living there. Palestinians were living in Jerusalem. Palestinians had neighborhoods and businesses. They were living there. 100,000 get on a ship. And when they get there, the British are still running Israel. And the British turn them away. And they end up on an island, I believe it was Malta. Don't quote me on that one. I'm about 100% sure, but Malta. There was a policy at the time that America only took in 5% of immigrants a year, and Great Britain only took in 5% of immigrants each year. But America said to Great Britain, you got to take them in, right? We're trying to support them, but there's a million of them with no place to go. So they come up with a plan, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but they come up with a plan to take over Israel, there were 750,000 Palestinians at that time living in Israel. And with financial support from Czechoslovakia, and I still don't know why they had anything to do with it, but with financial support from them, from Great Britain, they came in and they decimated these people. And I'll bring it up again. But that time, Israel called it their independence. The Palestinians call it the Nakba. It's 1948, May 15th, I believe. 1948, they call it the Nakba. The Palestinians, the Nakba means catastrophe. It's when they were all pushed out of their homes. Now, I'll show you some pictures in just a moment. But what needed to happen then was they needed to have a way of oppressing these people. So they got in touch with Cecil Rhodes because he had done the same thing for his diamond mines. It is estimated that potentially Cecil Rhodes was responsible for killing some 55 million Africans. And because he was so skilled at it and had successfully even gotten a country named after him, the Ashkenaz Jews asked him if he would help them control the Palestinian people. What should we do? How do we control them? There's nothing specific that you're going to get out of this other than your name can go down in history as being the one that helped us to colonize Israel. Am I painting a picture for you yet? Do you understand how this all connects? The Palestinians were living 750,000 displaced. But they've got to be controlled now. Their land had been taken away from them. Marsha Diane, one of the generals, you may have seen one of his old pictures. He had a patch over his eye. He said, what we can do is we'll change the maps, street names, the area. We'll change all of that so that nobody even knows that this was once theirs, that we will erase the memory of them being here. This is in a speech. This isn't some Google thing. This is the plan, which I'll show you more of. But Rhodes, Cecil Rhodes, just an evil man. His family still lives in that area, in southern Africa, northern part of southern Africa. Well, you see the map there. How to oppress folks. Have you ever heard of a Rhodes Scholar? Right? Smartest people getting these special scholarships. Well, he was a part of that. He created it so that he would not be remembered for the atrocities that he did, but remembered as excellence in education and moving forward. And listen, let me tell you something. This is very important. If you can control the narrative, if you can control what parts of history are written or told, that's why DeSantis is doing his number down in Florida. If you can control what is being said, if you can control the media, if you can control how the story is told or is not told, and all you need is a generation that's forgotten. Nobody's even fighting to bring that information out. So what I'm telling you that was done to the Palestinians are keenly aware of the fact that this happened. Some of them are still living, but they are still under the same kind of apartheid type oppression. And because of that, that's why we're getting the responses that we're getting. And I'm not saying October 7th that we just excuse what happened. Yeah, that's wrong, but it's not the only method that was ever tried, and they didn't do it just because they hate Israel. These are oppressed people that are simply fighting back. So, Smithsonian article, which you can go and look up, little known story of World War II's last million displaced. I mentioned that to you already. Told you that there were a million displaced Ashkenaz. And so what they came up with was something called a plan of partition. And with this plan of partition, they were going to divide things up, with the Palestinians getting the smallest portion. And Israel being left in, the Ashkenaz being left in control of Israel and being able to decide the laws and how much they take. Because they've continued to take land and make it smaller and smaller. And generationally, they've taught people to think of Palestinians as less than, to call all of them terrorists. I saw some interviews. Man, guy was just trying to walk to his house, and they wouldn't let him walk to his house. Sometimes you got to get away from some of the, even national news that we have here, right? Because this was a guy from Australia that was filming. Wouldn't even let this guy walk to his house. And we're interviewing other young people. And when I mean young adults, younger's getting younger to me every day. Older's getting younger. Anyway, these young folks that were in their 20s and called him a terrorist. Man's coming home from work just right. But they've been conditioned to think that way. And I submit to you, so have we. But they took their land from them. They went to refugee camps. I got a lot of pictures with them walking along roads and all of that. They divided all of it up. No place to go. No food to eat. Currently, Israel, the apartheid system, they control all the water and electricity. When October 7th happened, that's the first thing they did was cut off the water and electricity because they control it. I got some stuff I'm going to show you. It's just going to blow your mind. So I need you, let's put this in perspective. I know that there are people that are viewing this that don't live here in Cincinnati, but there are places that I've been to, San Antonio, Indianapolis, places that have circle freeways. So I want you to imagine, those of you especially that are right here in Cincinnati, I want you to imagine what I'm about to tell you. The 275 loop that goes around Cincinnati. Now you know all the neighborhoods. Indian Hill, Avondale, Evanston, Mount Healthy, Hamilton, Fairfield. You know the areas that are inside that loop. Deer Park, Mason, all of that within that loop. Now imagine that everybody inside that loop gets put out of their houses with no place to go, because that's exactly what happened. They get put out of their houses with no place to go. That was the Nakba. That was the catastrophe. That's when they lost their land. That's when the maps were redrawn and all of that in 1948. 1946, they start coming. 1947, they start moving these people out of their homes and all of that. 1948, they become a nation, and America sanctions it. I've got a newspaper clipping. It isn't, I didn't put it in this section. It might be in one of the others. Just has the newspaper in the title that America, we're cool with it. So again, and this is, I'm doing all of this on purpose. You got to control these people. It started back then. They still do it now. There's people that prior to this conflict that had to go through 4 checkpoints sometimes just to go to work. And indiscriminately, you could get arrested. There was a protest that happened, a peaceful protest. Israeli snipers opened fire on innocent people, just killing them because they've been conditioned to believe that these people have no value. And what baffles me, at least looking at it from the 40s as they became a nation, the same thing had just been done to them. Another little side note when I've lectured on this that I think is important. Now, I've seen a couple numbers on this. Israel's skin cancer rate, 2nd in the world. When they moved to, now our bodies adapt, and I'll talk about some of that later because Japheth, Noah's son Japheth, when he went to Europe, he went black, and I'm going to prove that to you. But there wasn't enough time. If they had been there in AD 70, which I've already proven to you that they were not, you know, when the temple was destroyed and, you know, the 1 million Christians walked out unscathed, by the way. But when the temple was destroyed and all those people left Jerusalem, they weren't in that group. And there hadn't been enough time in 2,000 years for them to come back and end up number 2. I saw something else and I don't know what the year that was. I believe it was around the same time, 1948. Number 2, number 5 in skin cancer. And they're still number 15 in the world. Why? Because it's not where you're from. It's not where you're from. Are you with me? Are you with me? I suggest you grab a pen and paper and you come back to this whenever you can and you take some notes, because any one of these pieces can be a story all to itself. If this doesn't fit on the screen, I'll go off camera. Benjamin Netanyahu has made it very clear he does not want a 2-state solution. See, the apartheid continues, and President Jimmy Carter, called it apartheid. It's not a phrase that I'm making up. Others have used it. But he doesn't want a 2-state solution. Because, oh man, I'm telling you, got to come back. I've got some things that are going to blow your mind, what this is really all about. Doesn't want a 2-state solution. That information that's down there at the bottom, I want you to know where I got this information from. And like I said, if it doesn't fit, yeah, I don't like the way that looks. So let's start right here. So, October 7th, the president of Israel, there's a president and a prime minister, he says it's an entire nation out there that's responsible. The Israel's Minister of Agriculture said, we are now actually rolling out the Gaza Nakba. He is declaring that we're going to do to them the catastrophe that we did before. Let me throw this in. You got to hear this. You know, have you ever watched a football game? Here, let me stick my mug back on here again. You ever watched a football game? And, you know, they talk about it all the time. 2 guys get into a fight on opposing teams, and it's normally the second guy that the referees catch. Well, that's what they do in the media. Sometimes I will go and I will listen to Middle East news reports because they're not, I know they're the boogeyman, supposedly, but I'll go and I'll listen to some of their reports. And they'll have videos that show you what happened before. See, there were several, just one example, because there's a lot of them, because this happens all the time. These young kids are throwing rocks. They hit a soldier. And when I mean young, I mean, late teens, early 20s. And about 19 of them got killed. And the Ashkenaz will always say it's an unprovoked attack because they just hate Israel. As Mark Lamont Hill says, this stuff doesn't come out of nowhere. I'll show you his video clip on that. This stuff doesn't come out of nowhere. What you don't see is they are actually responding to someone that got killed in their age group, in this case, someone that got killed, that got shot for no reason. It's like the reporter that got killed about a year ago for no reason. And they'll always say, it's a lie, the film's been doctored, all of this kind of stuff. It's always the same stuff. Enough time goes by, sometimes they'll take responsibility or they'll say they're investigating, but we don't ever hear what comes out of that investigation. They just don't have a problem lying because they see these people as less than. They're not worthy of life. So you have someone that is in the government. Benjamin Netanyahu ran there are many people that have been protesting, him being prime minister. They were doing a lot of that before October 7th. Kind of convenient that it happened right in the midst of them saying that he should be impeached and gotten rid of. I promise you I'll deal with that. However, he said in his campaign speeches to the right wing of the Israeli government, I don't want a two-state solution. I want to get rid of these people. It's out of the prime minister's mouth, and now I'm showing you where he's got leaders that are saying the exact same thing. Let me pop this last one up here for you. Look at what this says. We all have one common goal: erasing the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. Deputy Speaker of the Knesset. These are leaders. These are leaders making this statement, and they are living it out. And they are living it out. Destroying homes, communities, destroying hospitals, bombing them, shooting people waving white flags, destroying universities. What do these universities have to do with Hamas? What do local schools have to do with Hamas? What does any of this have to do with Hamas? The answer is nothing. The answer is that there is no connection. They want these people dead, and we have been supporting it financially. No excuse for genocide. Anti-Zionism, because that's who's doing this, is not anti-Semitism, even though we've proven that these are not Semites to start off with. Let me hurry to the close. Let's watch this. We'll talk on the other side.
Religion. Zionism is a political philosophy which has brought about the state of Israel, the so-called state of Israel. This political philosophy has nothing to do with religion. On the contrary, it seeks to confuse others and let them think that Zionism and Judaism is one and the same. I am a conscious African. I know properly my history. I know that Africa gave Judaism to the world. I know that the first Jews in the world were Africans. Not only do I know this, but I inform everyone who has doubts about it to read a book by Sigmund Freud entitled Moses and Monotheism as a beginning. Consequently, I know that Judaism and Zionism are not the same. Zionism had its first organizational expressions in 1897 in Basel, Switzerland, in Europe. Here was a man by the name of Theodor Herzl, H-E-R-Z-L. He was the founder of Zionism. He said that he was going to find the state that God promised the Jews. Listen to this very carefully. This man, Herzl, was an atheist. He believed that there was no God. He said God did not exist.
All right, let's finish this up. This is all connected, and there's going to be more. I'm going to turn these into shorts so that you can get this information. Bite-sized chunks or whatever. It'll be on my TikTok as well as Facebook. Had a glitch with Facebook tonight. It's on my Jackie Jackson Facebook, but it's not on Urban Apologetics. So anyway, and I appreciate you. I can't really see your comments as I'm going through this, but I just got a notification that there are positive comments that are coming through. I appreciate that. And if you want to argue about some of the points, I'm good. I'm good one way or another. The ideas that we learn. Let me read this to you. It's one of my favorite quotes from that period of time. When he was asked about peace in the Middle East, the late president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, stated, "The Jews will never be able to live here in peace because they left here black and came back white." Man, that's not some kind of racist, kind of crazy statement. It's the truth. It's the truth. You have to perpetuate a lie. You have to control the narrative if you're going to keep this going. These aren't God's people and they're fighting for, that's not what's going on here. But again, if you want more information, I'm on the radio Monday through Friday, 4:45. Those are the stations there. You can catch me on AM and FM to have brief discussions. It's a drive time show, 4:45 to 5 o'clock, so it's brief, but I hit it and get it. Really, really good. But anyway, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with me tonight on the Jackie Jackson Ministries Urban Apologetics channel. Lord bless you, beloved. We'll see you next time.